In temperatures cold enough to freeze blood in minutes, one man did the impossible. He outsmarted a massive manhunt and vanished into thin air. Today we uncover the legendary escape of the man who outran the police in -50 degrees. Topic 1. The start of the manhunt and the deadly cold. Facing brutal cold of 50 below zero helps us understand just how far the human survival instinct can go under extreme pressure. When the police patrols set up the initial perimeter, the expectation was that the fugitive would give up within a few hours. No match for such a merciless environment. Man, in that freezing scenario, the biting air froze people's lungs with every deep breath, turning any movement into a brutal test of endurance. The plain truth is, while most people would have caved to panic right away, this guy kept a cool, calculated head and turned the harsh weather into his biggest ally. Wow! That ability to stay focused and composed in the middle of a devastating crisis teaches us something really practical, and it lines up perfectly with what Napoleon Hill taught about keeping your emotions in check when things get tough. Letting fear call the shots in your day-to-day is the fastest shortcut to failure in any personal or professional project. To build up that mental toughness and learn to handle chaos in your own life, it's worth checking out Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and practicing decision-making under stress by running through a quick mental check before reacting to the unexpected. Learning to tame the chaos inside is the key to riding out any storm outside. The real crux of it is that the fugitive knew that frozen terrain way better than any of the authorities chasing him. He pushed forward steadily through the thick snow, using advanced insulation techniques and energy rationing that pushed the limits of human biology. And while the police figured he was cornered by the approaching storm, the guy had already mapped out an escape route that would leave investigators completely baffled. Topic 2. The art of throwing them off in the snow and extreme endurance. Mastering the art of evasion on terrain buried under meters of snow took some seriously next-level tactical smarts. Man, walking backwards in his own footprints or jumping between frozen branches to break his trail. Those are moves that border on unbelievable. Every step had to be calculated down to the last detail, because one broken branch or one deeper footprint would give away his exact location to the tracking dogs. The plain truth is, he turned that flat, monotonous white landscape into an actual maze, fooling seasoned trackers with next-level tricks. That incredible skill for playing off his surroundings proved his mind was running at full alert the whole time. Wow! That wild ability to adapt to the terrain gives us a real lesson in flexibility and strategic thinking when it comes to life. Being predictable and stuck in your ways when facing everyday obstacles is exactly what keeps so many people stuck in their careers. To build that mental agility and learn how to carve out your own alternative paths, I'd really recommend reading Getting Things Done by David Allen. Also, try mapping out at least 2 different solutions for every problem that comes up at work. Train your brain to never rely on just one path. Anyone who can spot room to maneuver where others only see dead ends up taking control of their own destiny. The real crux of it is that while the fugitive was quietly gaining ground, the search teams were starting to feel the brutal effects of that paralyzing cold. Sheer exhaustion and the deep frustration of chasing false leads started to wear down the officers' morale. They didn't even know anymore if they were hunting a flesh and blood man or a ghost. The temperature kept dropping hour after hour, turning the snowmobiles and communication gear into frozen, useless junk. The authorities' overconfidence, leaning only on numbers and tech, ran headfirst into the unstoppable force of raw nature. And it was at exactly that critical breaking point of exhaustion and pure desperation that law enforcement made a tactical blunder that would leave the path wide open for the unthinkable. Topic 3. The authorities' mistake and the failed perimeter. The arrogance of relying purely on brute force and superior numbers cost the rescue and security teams big time. Man, the authorities set up roadblocks on routes the fugitive would never even use, completely underestimating what a determined man could pull off crossing ice-covered valleys and mountains. The plain truth is, that lack of strategic empathy, not being able to get inside their opponent's head, led investigators to make rookie mistakes, wasting valuable time and resources. That failure to read the situation turned the whole operation into one of the biggest tactical embarrassments the region had ever seen. Wow, that operational collapse leaves us with a powerful lesson about the importance of humility and really digging into the context, totally in line with Napoleon Hill's view on learning from mistakes and steering clear of arrogance. Believing that raw force or a position of authority guarantees success is a dangerous illusion, whether in business or in life. To avoid the traps that come with overconfidence, it's well worth reading Think Again by Adam Grant and getting into the habit of asking for honest feedback from people who see things totally differently than you do. Questioning your own certainties is the best protection against avoidable failure. The real crux of it is that by the time the commanders finally figured out which way the fugitive had actually gone, the perimeter was already completely broken and useless. The man had crossed the security line without firing a single shot and without leaving a single visible track in the snowstorm. And while the frozen, exhausted police searched for answers on a useless map, the fugitive slipped into terrain so remote that any future search would be next to impossible. Topic 4. The final disappearance and lessons in resilience. That man's complete disappearance into the icy vastness turned the case into a legend of survival and sheer guts. Man, despite weeks of intense searching with helicopters, patrols, and native trackers, not a single trace of the fugitive was ever found. The plain truth is, the very nature that should have been his death sentence ended up being the cloak that protected his secret forever. This story still stands today as a jaw-dropping testament to what human willpower can pull off when pushed to the absolute limit. Wow, this incredible triumph over the odds gives us a deep lesson in resilience, unshakable focus, and determination, echoing Napoleon Hill's core principle that a stubborn mind with a clear purpose can beat any force standing in its way. Giving up at the first sign of headwinds is exactly why most people leave their biggest dreams by the wayside. To build that kind of grit and put resilience into practice in your own life, it's worth reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and getting into the habit of setting non-negotiable goals that you follow through on no matter what's going on around you. Building an iron will is the secret to becoming truly unstoppable. The real crux of it is that the legacy of this mystery goes way beyond the manhunt itself and pushes us to look at our own challenges from a different angle. Looking at how the combination of tactical smarts, preparation, and composure made the impossible happen invites us to rethink how we face our own daily battles. And it's exactly by soaking in these lessons about mental strength that we get ready to weather whatever storm life throws our way. Conclusion. Faced with this extraordinary story of survival and guts under such brutal conditions, here's the question that really makes you think. How much longer are you going to let little everyday setbacks stop your growth and make you give up on your goals? This man's saga in the extreme cold proves that once you build emotional control and unshakable determination, there's no storm or obstacle that can stop you. So what are you going to do today to toughen up your mindset, stop making excuses, and finally take charge of your own life? If this incredible story of grit and strategy taught you something meaningful, don't wait. Subscribe to the channel right now and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the most fascinating mysteries, survival tactics, and jaw-dropping stories our world has to offer.